Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and as promised last week we're gonna do a review of the two Xiaomi routers, the Xiaomi Router 3, the original one, and the new, the 3G. So let's get into it, plug them in, see how we're gonna connect, look at the web interface for connecting, look at the app, look at the speeds, and the speeds we're gonna have with connecting external drives, transferring between the server inside the house and the devices we have, so see how they're gonna compare. But once again, I'm gonna say these are great buy, so stick around with the video, you're gonna see the full review. So I'll be right back. All right, now that we have the router plugged in for the network, obviously you need to plug it into the WAN port right here, the one that's blue. And next thing we need to do is plug in the power. So there's the power. One thing I mentioned about the power cable, very short, about 4 feet. So keep in mind, if you need a longer one, you might have to grab an extension cord or something. Very light, so you'll see the cable will actually pull it from the table because it's stretching from my switch. So plug it in the power. You see the lights come on the back side, and then on the front you'll see the one that it's yellow will blink, and once the router takes the proper configurations, it will turn blue. But we'll give it a minute or so to light up, and then we're gonna show how the setup is done via the app, and then we're gonna move on to the web interface and some of the tests we're gonna run on that. All right, now that we have it plugged in, you will notice that the light blinks here for the WAN, and the light in the front is blue, which is good. Then we're gonna bring up the app. So let me show you how the app looks like. So we're bringing up the app, and the router is found. You can do search for a new router, add, and then do setup. So you can do restore from another Mi router, which is great if you want the settings to be the same and that new one, or you can do add as a new router, continue. All right, connecting my phone to the new router. It'll take a second or so. All right, now we're in, internet connection is detected, next. It offers us to change the name of the router, create a password. So I'm gonna create one, and I'll be back in 1 second. All right, after we're creating the password, and now I finish up the setup, and you'll see both networks are enabled and their names. Like I said, the name of the router is set up by default, but you can change it on the process of setup, so you can name it whatever you want. This is just the default name that comes with it once you set it up, because it's a international version. It wants us to go to the Europe. That's the official release of this router. It's in Europe, so that's why. But you can change the location to whatever you want. So now we have the router connected, and you'll see the list of all the routers I have, and the app is offering us to switch to my current one right here, or from the pull down and go to any of the other ones I have in my list. All right, so storage. Let's go to the storage. I will plug in a hard drive or external USB drive and see how we can access that. But before we do that, let's try and see what the speed is with the router. Being very, very close to it. I'm expecting to be close to 100 megabits. You can see about 66. We're gonna try another program and see what the speed is there. I'll try it with speed test. See what our speed is going to be. Okay, so that's about what I'm expecting. Wireless AC with the 100 megabits LAN connection, about 85, yeah, 84, 85. That's normal, so that's about the speed you're going to be expecting, and close proximity. Let me test that a couple rooms away, and we'll see the results. So 3-4 rooms away, the speed is significantly decreasing, drops about half. I personally don't think that's a problem, since like I mentioned before, these are really meant for a smaller apartment, a couple rooms maybe, which that will be good enough. But again, 100 megabits only coming to the router, so don't expect any miracles to be higher speed. We're going to plug in later the 3G and see what the difference is going to be in speeds. But this is for now. Let me get into some local storage plug-in and see how we can access that through the app. All right, now that we have a USB drive plugged in, we're going to move the router a little bit to the side and look at the web interface. How can we access these files and what's the transfer speeds between the files connected to the router and local devices like laptops and phones. All right, now we have the web interface pulled out on the laptop. As you can see right away, everything is in English. This is the default IP address, so we can log right in and see the web interface. So currently, as you can see, like I said, everything is in English. We have the status, the storage, the settings, the advanced, the name of the router here, notifications, shows us that it's connected to the internet, no problem whatsoever. If we scroll down, we can see the traffic speeds being monitored in real time. We can see what kind of devices are connected to it. Currently, we have only the EasyBook Pro 3 and my Mi Mix, Xiaomi Mi Mix phone. So 2 devices. You can see the total download and total upload, the speeds, and the CPU and storage load. As you can see, the CPU, like I mentioned before, it's 580 megahertz single core. So currently is going down. It was up a little bit in a minute ago, and this is the RAM, 128 megabytes DDR2 at 800 megahertz frequency. You can see the details. We can pull and look a little bit more. There's the different statistics here. The Samba, how much memory is taking, the My TV Assistant or Mi TV, the Thunder download engine. These are some of the services the Xiaomi has with the router. Let's go back into the interface here, scroll up a little bit more. I want to look at some of the other options. We have the storage. Let's see if the storage will be accessible. So we can install it. Currently, as you can see, we have the USB drive plugged in. As it has been detect drive, I have a lot of large file videos, music on that specific drive, so we can see how the transfer speed is going to be between devices. They're offering us to access with different clients that we can download, but we're not going to do any of that stuff. We can do it through the app. We can do it through our local interface through Windows. And let's see the settings. So if we go to settings, we have several different options here: the Wi-Fi settings, the network settings, security, LAN settings, and the status. Dual band Wi-Fi. Okay, when the feature is on, 2.4 and 5 GHz networks share the same name. I don't want that. They need to be separate. And here we can see the different settings: the name, the passwords, all the other settings we have normally in every router for both 2.4 and 5 GHz networks. We have a guest network that we can turn on, off. Currently it's off by default, and choose our location, which they don't give us much options other than Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, obviously China, and Europe. Currently it's set to Europe, so we kind of benefit from the English here, but as you know, I'm located in the States, but it really doesn't matter. Network settings. If we go to network settings, we're gonna get some more information here on the IP we're getting, the mask, DHCP, WAN ports, MAC addresses. On the security, we're gonna have our password to change, the firewall that we can set up. As you can see, I'm gonna browse real quickly to those options: admin passwords, and block access to some of the devices that are connected to the router. And on the LAN settings, we can set up the static IP addresses for our 2 LAN ports. On the back, as mentioned before, they're only 100 megabits and not a gigabit LAN. And on the status, we have information. We actually, look at that. There's an update for the router right away. Fixes bugs and improvements. Okay, great. This is going to be the new version, which is from May to this year, May 24th. Okay, that's great. Okay, what else? Update log, factory data reset, backup and recovery. We can do that here. Choose the language. We have English, Chinese, and maybe Taiwanese. I'm not entirely sure. And time settings. We can change the time zone, Eastern time zone. There it is. So let's change the date. June the 2nd. This is the time. Okay. A little bug here. You can see shows the month is 42. Hopefully the update of the firmware will fix that. Let's update, and we'll be right back after that. All right, now that the firmware is downloaded, the router is updating. As you can see, keep the router connected to your power source. It will take about 7 minutes, it says, to update the router. So I'd say the whole process probably lasts about 10 minutes from the download to the completion of the update. So let's see at the end what the new changes will be to the interface. So unfortunately my sound failed here when I was recording, so I'm not sure why it's not coming up. Not a huge changes on the interface, like they stated in the release on the log. Just some bugs are addressed, no big deal, and I had to adjust the screen on my laptop to the maximum possible, because sometimes you will notice the flickering on the screen when it's been filmed. You will never notice it with the naked eye, but with camera it's visible. That didn't address the bug on the date. It's still showing these crazy numbers. I'm not sure what is the deal with that, but it's not a big deal in my mind. You can actually see some of the speed here. You can run some of the speed test straight from the router and see what the speed is. These are some of the options in advanced. You have quads, you have DHCP assignment. You could do some static IP assignment, and this is what exactly I've been doing on my initial router 3. I have a server attached to it, so I've assigned a static IP address for it to have. And DDNS is good to have built in the router with some already predefined services. I've been using no IP for many years, and this one is an option as well among the other ones listed here from Xiaomi. So no IP, it's a great option. Like I said, I've been using it for many years, and having their services added here definitely makes my life easier to set it up and use it without any problems. Some of the other options you guys have seen before: port forwarding, very self-explanatory. DMZ settings is right here as well. Turn it on or off, and you have a VPN option as well. That you can go ahead and add a service and set up a VPN if you desire. So again, a great addition. Having that on a cheap router, in my opinion, it's a great addition. What else we can say about this final option here? Let's see what the final option is. We have the Upnp option here, which is already turned on by default, so you don't have to really mess around with that. That helps a lot with programs that you might use for video chat, like Skype and some other programs that use that protocols. Going back to the initial status page, I really like it actually, the way they laid it out, and it's one of my favorite parts about the Xiaomi routers, how you can see all the statistics right there in front of you, all the connected devices, what's the bandwidth, what's the load on the CPU, on the RAM. So very graphically represented and visually represented, so makes life easier to automatically spot if you have a problem with the internet or not. But yeah, let's move on to the next. Now let's talk about the storage. One thing I've noticed with this particular router and some of the other ones actually with Xiaomi, they're really forcing you to download and install some of those third-party clients they have in order for you to access your files through normal browser, Windows Explorer, or any of the other ones. Otherwise, you're gonna have hard time accessing your files there. I really don't like that. That's one of my negatives that I need to mention, is I want to be able to directly share, use Samba protocols or Microsoft sharing services, so I can just see the files. But that can be done through tablets and the app on the phone. But for now, I haven't found a way to do it via computer. But unfortunately, no easy way to share your data or your files through the network without using their suggested client. I'm gonna explore a little bit more that option and see if it's possible. Try some other settings because currently I cannot find a way for the computer to access the network and the shared files that I have on the router. But we'll test some more and we'll see if that's possible, because when you go here, you don't see any of the shared files they already have on the USB drive. So let's move on to the 3G router and see how that one is going to perform compared to this one and see what the differences are. All right, now we have the wireless 3G router connected, as you can see by the different insignias on top of it, and then we have all gigabit all across, blue light ready to connect. So let's open the app and see if we can add this router. So this is the app, already found it, set it up. We can see if we can set it up as a new router. Okay, pretty much the same steps that we took with the other one. The internet connection is detected. We're gonna do next, and we're gonna create the password again. Finishing up the setup here, as you can see, the 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz frequencies are on, and now we're getting the network info and finishing up the setup through the app. Like I mentioned before, setting up the router through the app is the easiest way to do it. You can do it through the web interface initially, but in my opinion, just having a smartphone or a tablet with the app, it's going to be a lot easier. And here we are connecting to the new 3G router. What kind of guest devices? From here, again, from the drop down, I can see all my current routers. The top one that I'm connected currently is the 3G. Then we have the D1EC, which is the hard drive based one, currently set up as a repeater. And we have the original router 3 from Xiaomi that it's remote in Europe, in my apartment. From here again, we can see the network speeds, the status. We have some other options on the latest update here on the Xiaomi app, which came a couple days ago actually. We can see different things, but going back here, we can see what's connected to it again. We can see the storage. Obviously I don't have anything connected right now, but I'm going to plug in this USB drive and see what's going to happen in a second. All right, now that we have the USB drive connected, you can see once you click on the storage on the app right here on the bottom, right away it will give you what's on the actual drive. As you can see, I have some music, we have some movies that I can click, open, download. So we're gonna test how the speed is going to be once downloading. Keep in mind the USB drive here is USB 3.0. The router is actually supporting 3.0 as well, so hopefully we're gonna have some speedy connections. We'll try to stream directly, see if that's possible or not. All right, so now that we've changed the USB to be USB 3.0, we're gonna give it a try one more time with the media streaming and see if that's gonna make a difference. My expectations are probably yes, because USB 3.0 has a lot faster bandwidth, especially when you try to stream on your local network, and it's going to be beneficial. So let's give it a try. So we're going to open the app again, and let's try with this rather large file with a movie and see if that's going to stream. And then we're going to test, of course, a couple rooms away, see if it's going to still stream, because sitting right next to the router, it doesn't really help us. We're going to choose again the Xiaomi video player and see if that's gonna start streaming. Okay, yeah, well, that makes a difference. Definitely, if you enable the USB 3.0 interface, as you can see over here, and you're connected obviously to the 5 gigahertz frequency, they're leaving this notice that if you're on the 2.4 you might have problems, but I'm gonna test that. I'm gonna log into the 2.4 and try to stream again and see if there's gonna have any difference. But having it on the 5, you can definitely stream. Let me go in several rooms over and see if that's still gonna be possible. Let me see if I can actually skip forward. Yeah, it looks like it's possible, and you can stream. That's a great news, considering that price of this router is significantly lower than most of the things on the market today. But yeah, let me now check several rooms over. I will see what the results are there. Try that again, several rooms over. I think I have at least 4 walls between me and the router now. So we're gonna see how the speed is gonna perform and how the speed drops down compared to, you know, obviously being in the same room with it. You know, nothing that I was not expecting, about 50 megabits. I've seen a little bit better results, about 50 to 80. So I think around 80 is gonna be max across, you know, 3-4 rooms. This is kind of like on the far side of the house compared to where the router is right now. So definitely comparable to every other router I have on my possession, and nothing different. And then let's see how it's gonna do with our media streaming, our Xiaomi app, and then go to our storage, and then we're gonna try to play something else maybe. Okay, let's see this movie again, very high bandwidth. See if it's gonna load and if it's gonna play for us. Yeah, the movie starts. Again, bandwidth is enough across the house to play the movie. Keep in mind these are high bit rate MKV files, 1080p, so definitely the higher bandwidth of the USB 3.0 and the higher bandwidth of the router helps a lot with that. So what is next? Let's try the speed test again. Earlier we tried the speed with the original Xiaomi Router 3. I think the biggest problem there is the 100 megabits LAN ports, and here this one is a gigabit. So let's see what the speed is. Obviously this is right next to the router, and it's going to be ideal situation, but as you can see, this is maxing out my network, which is 180 megabits, and this is a great news to see. I think again the biggest thing is the gigabit LAN ports on that router, and probably the better hardware, the processor and the RAM, which really helps with that speed and bandwidth. All right, so let's go quickly on some of the other options and see what else is on different compared to the other routers. If you go to plugins, you'll see there's some more options here that we didn't have before. Okay, I try to play a music file, I load it and start playing. So router weekly reports, I guess this is want us to join to some forum, WeChat over the Wi-Fi. I guess this is an option because it's a Chinese version. I'm assuming this is why it's included here. I don't use that, but if you do, I guess you can use it here. More tools, Samba Server, let's see, update is available, okay. And you can see some of the other services they have. I'm not sure what this is. It's on Chinese. We have the Samba, obviously we have the Mi TV. Maybe that's an option to stream to your Xiaomi TV. I'm not entirely sure about that. You can schedule a reboot. The Wi-Fi timer quotes. We have photo backup from your device directly to the routers, external storage, security status, deep speed test, and guess Wi-Fi. And let's see on the updates. I have a couple updates actually. One is for the router, the original Xiaomi 3 router. Let's go ahead and update this 3G version and see if anything better will be after the update. All right, now after the update, we have a lot of more options here on the app. As you can see, unfortunately, all these are in Chinese, so I'm not sure what exactly they're saying. There's IPv6 option now, but yeah, being on Chinese, you're gonna have to use a translator to be able to see what those apps are saying in case you want to use them. Wi-Fi optimization, you can see the quality here, scanning the channels. You can do some of the changes if you want to. It will scan the area probably and will give you what's the best optimal channel that you can set up your wireless, so it will not interfere with some of your neighbors or some of the other ones you might have around the house or around the apartment. We'll try to do what they're telling us here automatically. We'll see if that's going to fix what they're saying. Okay, Wi-Fi quality is optimized, everything is good now. Back up your photos of your phone, firewall friend Wi-Fi. Okay, let's go back and on more tools. Now we kind of look at this. So settings, here you can go and see wireless Wi-Fi settings. We'll pull from the wireless and passwords and everything else. Network settings, internet mode settings. So again, very same options will be on the web interface, but on the app is right there on your phone or a tablet, so you're going to be able to see everything. You can reboot, you can see the storage, schedule download time, that's a good option. Hardware and system, LED light, you can turn it off or on. USB 3, you can change the USB 3 to USB 2 if you want to. They're saying turn on to switch, or I guess turn off the 3.0 USB, because using USB 3.0 might affect your 2.4 Wi-Fi signal. I don't know why that's a deal, but that's the warning they're getting there. I personally will connect to the 5 gigahertz anyway, so that's not a problem for me. The update, you can schedule an update, reset password, time zone settings. So if you go to time zone settings, date time is the same, and factory data reset. So if you go back, we have router configuration backup, so you can schedule a backup or backup your network connections, feedback, sign out, unpair the router, share router, parental control, device daily report, notifications. You can see do not disturb time, select region, it's other, user experience program, and about the router. That is about it. Let's go to the web interface and see what the difference is there. Obviously it's going to be on Chinese, and we're going to see how we can translate it, how translated is going to look on Windows Edge. All right, now connected to the web interface. As you can see, everything is in Chinese. If we hit the translate feature on the Edge wireless router, okay, it will translate some of it. We'll plug our password so we can go into the web interface, and hopefully the translator there is gonna help us again to navigate around. Status, storage, common settings. Okay, very similar, advanced, very similar to what we saw before. Pretty much the same interface, to be honest. Shows us what it's connected, the network speed, the CPU storage. As you can see, we have it's dual core. I don't know why it's showing 4 core, but it's 880 megahertz dual core MediaTek processor. Maybe has some co-processors that are showing as well here. And then the memory is twice DDR3, that's some Samsung, and the frequency is 1200 instead of 800 on the older router 3. We're gonna have how to update here to the latest version. We have the latest version currently. Restore factory and change time zones, change the time. I wish there was an option here to change the language to English, but unfortunately there isn't. Let me see the advanced settings. Maybe there is an option here to change it to English. I'm not expecting it to have it, but one can only hope, right? Upnp is on by default. Port forwarding, QoS, DHCP. What about uploading from your device to the router? I'm gonna give it a try with one of those videos that I have on my phone. As you can see, if you hold your finger over the file, it will select it, and then it will ask you to upload. So if I hit upload, it will transfer to the disk. Okay, transfer, task added. How can we see how long that's gonna take? Okay, it's uploading. As you can see here, the speed is about 3.8, about 4 megabytes per second, a little less, yeah, and this is done. And if we go to the drive, technically this file is here. Yep, it's there. So About 3.5 to 4 megabytes per second transfer. So if you want to back up your videos, you want to upload some pictures or other files from your device, phone, tablet, or computer to the storage attached to the router, you can do that without any problems. Now, if you long press the file, that will give you an option to download, move, copy, delete, or more. If you go to more, you can see view details or rename the file. So if you go to the storage status here, USB drive, and again, it's suggesting us to download some of these clients, but we don't want to do that. I'd rather access it directly, which it's really a shame. I don't want to download any external clients in order for us to access a network share. That's really not convenient in my opinion. And here we can turn off and turn on the USB 3. I'm going to leave it on for now. And then see common settings. Again, Wi-Fi settings, internet settings, security, LAN, system state or status right here. Pretty much the same options as we saw before. The interface is very similar, just a few minor differences between both. Obviously with this one having more options. Here the options here, what do we have on the bottom? Enable wireless configuration synchronization with smart gateway. Okay, we don't have that. Security center. If we get security center, translate again, wireless control access, control mode, LAN settings. Here in the LAN settings, if you remember, we have some more options to do the our IP addresses, how many we have with DHCP service, the LAN address, the main, which is the main gateway address, we can change here, but the default one is 192.168.31.1, and the system status at the end. So, spoiler alert, definitely worth getting this router. I think the wireless router 3G from Xiaomi is a must-buy in my book, especially for $45. I think this router will deliver a great performance that everybody will enjoy. All right, Xiaomi Router 3 versus Xiaomi Router 3G. Final words. Obviously, we're going to talk about that real quick at the brief. What I can say from the testing and my experience over the time with both of these routers, I have to say this is a must buy. The 3G, go ahead and buy this one if you need a router, if you need a replacement router, if you need a second router that you want to install somewhere else, use it as a repeater or as a router, whatever you want to do. This is my definite recommendation. The hardware upgrade is definitely worth it. Having more RAM, having better processor, having gigabit LANs, and having a USB 3.0 on it definitely makes a huge difference. As we saw, streaming videos, uploading big files to the routers, external storage that you can attach to the USB. Bandwidth, definitely big difference. With the Xiaomi Router 3, this one, if you live in a small apartment, 1 room, 2 rooms maybe, if your internet provider does not give you more than 100 megabits, I think it's going to be good enough. The prices are very cheap, about $25 maximum, I think. It's definitely worth it. If your provider gives you more bandwidth than 100, you know, obviously go for the 3G. I think it's a big difference. With this one, you're gonna struggle a little bit more. You're gonna be frustrated if you cannot max it out. But both of them are good buy for me. I think the best one is this one. Among all the Xiaomi routers, even including the one with the hard drive that I'm using all the time, especially considering the prices, I think $40 to $45 for the 3G. I think it's the best, and it's worth your money. I think Xiaomi did a great job with this one. I only wish there's a native English version coming to it with this particular one. But as you saw, if you're using the app, if you're using any of the translators built-in on the web browsers, you're still going to be okay. You're going to be able to navigate and do your settings. But ideally, I'd like to see an English version. Hopefully, we're going to be able to see that soon, an official English version of that router, so most people can buy it and enjoy it. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you very much for the support. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. Let me know if you want more comparison between different routers and different hardware like this. We're gonna spend more time and be able to go deep and see if, how these routers perform, and see how everything is working out. I'd like to spend more time of deeply investigating hardware like this in order for me to make a suggestion or a recommendation for you. But for me, this is a great buy. For now, this is it, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, guys, you have a wonderful day.